Well, in Romans chapter 8, the Apostle Paul, he's in the middle of this letter that he wrote as a support letter to the church in Rome so that they could help send him to Spain to take the gospel to people who had not seen it, because the gospel is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes, as he says in Romans chapter 1. And in chapter 8, this beautiful, beloved chapter, he's working out and showing us the benefits, what happens. He's telling them about the benefits, what happens when the Spirit comes and lives inside of us. And in verse 22, he says this: "For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for our adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies." In other words, as I talked about last time, the creation has this sense that the world is not as it should be. And I think if any reasonable observer of the world, we look around and we see that. And what that's for the creation, but then just for humanity, which we're part of creation, but I think he's focusing in more on humanity here. So when we look at the world, we have a sense that it's not right. It's not what it was meant to be. There's stuff wrong and messed up with it. There's people who do things that are terrible. That, the George Floyd killing, horrible things. Aborting babies, terrible things. Sex trafficking. The world is not what it should be. Political disunity, division, demonization of the other side. I mean, you could just go down and down and down the list. Corruption, oppression. Like, this world is not what it should be. And then you just look at just the natural course of the world. Our church, Pastor Jim Fleming just passed away. And there's this groaning inside of us, this part of us that wants to rebel against what is going on in this world. Say, man, this is just so messed up. And I just love the Bible. This is why I just encourage us to read the Bible, because it's so true. It says the creation has been groaning in the pains of childbirth. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, even though we have the Spirit living inside of us, we have the promise of new life, that we are adopted as God's children, His sons and daughters. Even though all of that is true, there's still this groaning, because the world that we live in today is not what it should be. There's beauty and there's goodness and there's things we ought to be thankful for. All of that is true, but it is fundamentally flawed and broken. That's why I love the Bible, because it just shoots us straight. This world's not perfect. It ought to create a groaning in us when we look at it with honest eyes. But as he said earlier, there is a glory that is to be revealed that overshadows all suffering here and now.